My daughter forgot to hang up the phone. I heard, put him in a nursing home and sell his house. When she came back from vacation, the house was gone, and so was every cent she thought was hers. My name is Walter Briggs. I was 68 years old and a grandfather of 2. I had been an electrician for 40 years. My knees were stiff in the morning, but I could mow my own grass and fix a crooked cabinet door. I liked things simple. My wife, Ellen, passed 3 years before this. The house held her in small ways. The recipe cards she wrote in a neat hand. The quilt she finished the winter before she got sick. I kept the place clean. Not perfect, but honest. My daughter Megan said I was old-school stubborn. I thought of it as showing up. I tried to be fair. I tried to be useful. I tried to be the kind of man my grandchildren, Sam and Lily, could count on. I was watering the tomatoes when Megan called. I tapped the green button on the phone and said, "Hello?" She said, "Dad?" Hold on a second. There was wind, then the clatter of an airport, voices in the background, shoes on tile, a rolling suitcase. Then her voice again, sharper, turned away from me. "Yeah, we're doing it when I get back." Put him in a nursing home and sell his house. I froze. The hose slipped in my hand and slapped the dirt. I heard a man answer her. I think it was her husband, Tyler. He said, "Finally." Then laughter, quick and low, like they were sharing a joke. "He'll thank us later," Megan said. Another voice said, "What about the money?" Megan said, "Once he's placed, we handle it all." I stood in the sun, water running over my shoe. I wanted to say her name, but I did not. I did not want them to know I was still there. My heart thumped slow and heavy. My mouth felt dry. I had made Megan's lunches. I had knelt on the floor of her first apartment to assemble a bookshelf. I had walked her down a church aisle and kissed her cheek. And there she was, carving me up like I was a piece of furniture. It was not a mistake. It was a plan. She came back on the line like nothing had happened. "Sorry, Dad. Had to check the gate. You all right?" I said I was fine. I said I would call her later. My voice was steady. I clicked off. I shut the hose. I stood in the small square of wet dirt and watched it darken the path. I needed to think. I could not let panic run the show. I went inside and set the phone on the counter. I leaned both hands on the sink and looked out at the yard. 2 bluebirds bounced along the fence. The tomato cages leaned a little. A simple life. Mine. And someone I raised had decided to move me like a checkers piece. I pulled a towel from the drawer and dried my hand. The plan was clear. Not hers. Mine. Now I knew what I faced. I sat at the kitchen table. The clock on the wall ticked. It was one my dad had hung when he helped us move in. 42 years ago. The wood of the table was smooth where Ellen used to rest her elbows. I stared at the pictures on the hutch. Ellen in her yellow dress by the bay window. Megan at 6, missing her front teeth. Sam on a swing. Lily in a raincoat with ducks on the pockets. The house held all of that for me, not in a fancy way, just in the way it had always done. My hands were steady now. I was angry, yes, but under it was something colder, a line. I would not be managed. I would not be placed. I had seen places like that, the smell in the halls, the way people talked over you. I thought of Ellen's last weeks. We had made promises to one another. Dignity, choice, respect. I would keep them for her and for myself. I pictured Megan's face when she gets impatient. The chin lifts. The voice goes sweet and sharp. She had always been quick. She liked things done now. She liked the feeling of telling other people what to do. I had let some of that slide after her mother died. I had told myself it was grief. Maybe it was. Maybe it was also something that had always been there. She liked the idea of being in charge. She liked money. She liked to be seen as the one who fixed everything. I reached into the drawer by the stove and felt for the small brass key, the one to the fireproof box in the hall closet. I did not take it out. I just held the key in my palm for a moment. Then I set it back in its little dish. I would not rush. I would move plain and sure. I poured myself a glass of water and sat again. I wrote 3 words on an index card and slid it under the salt shaker. My words were simple, I decide. It calmed me to see them there. I could not control Megan. I could not control Tyler. I could control myself and the steps I took. I thought about calling Megan right then. I did not. I knew her. She would spin and push and smile. She would call it help. She would try to get me to agree to a tour of a community as if we were shopping for a new toaster. I would not give her that opening. I rested my hand on the table and closed my eyes for a breath. I was not done being a father or a grandfather. I was not done being the owner of my life. I stood up. I went to the sink and washed the dirt from under my nails. I dried my hands. The line was drawn. I would not be handled. And because I chose that, I knew the risk would rise. In the morning, I called Dr. Perez's office. She had been my doctor for years. She had seen me through Ellen's illness and the months after. The receptionist recognized my voice. "Hi, Mr. Briggs," she said. "What can we do for you?" "I want to make sure my chart is up to date," I said. "I am doing fine, and I want that clear." "You were in last month," she said. "Your notes look good. Do you need anything specific?" "Something in writing," I said. "Plain language. That I am walking, cooking, taking my meds, paying my bills. That I live alone by choice." My voice felt steady, not pleading. I did not owe anyone a case. I just wanted the truth where it mattered. She spoke to the doctor and came back. "We can print a brief note for you to pick up this afternoon." "Thank you," I said. "That will do." I hung up and made oatmeal. I sliced a banana over the bowl. I put the phone on the counter and looked at it. I thought about Megan's voice at the airport, light and quick. I thought about how she would smile at the waiter at lunch and then press the knife in, all while calling it care. I was her father. I had limitations. I was not blind to that, but I was not a burden to be cashed out. I checked the mail. I paid the water bill online. I set out my pills for the week. Monday through Sunday, 2 in the morning, 1 at night. I moved around my kitchen in the same square I had walked for decades. I noted the things that worked. The door latch clicked clean. The smoke detector's green light was steady. The stairs felt safe under my foot. The house did not scare me. The people who wanted it did. In the afternoon, I drove to the clinic. The spring air was mild. I walked up the steps without stopping. At the desk, they handed me a simple paper with my name on top. It said I was alert, mobile, and independent. It was not fancy. It did not need to be. I folded it and put it in the inside pocket of my jacket. Not to wave around, not to start a fight, to be ready. On the way home, I stopped for coffee. The girl at the counter said, "You look sharp today, Mr. Briggs." I smiled. I felt sharp. I felt clear. I was not trying to win an argument on the phone. I was preparing to defend my life, in small, practical ways. I placed the folded paper in the drawer under the salt shaker when I got home. I set my hand on the drawer for a long moment. Then I let it go. No one was going to call me helpless and make it stick. Megan picked the diner 2 blocks from my house. Chrome edges. Coffee that tasted like it had been waiting since dawn. She came in with sunglasses on her head and a bright scarf tied at her throat. She kissed my cheek and sat across from me. Her phone was face up on the table. "You look good, Dad," she said. "How are you managing?" "I am managing," I said. She smiled. "You know I love you. I just want to make things easier, for everyone." "For you," I said. Her smile tightened. "Do not be like that. You forget things. You left the hose running yesterday. The stairs are steep. This house is big. You should not have to struggle." "I do not struggle," I said. I live. The waitress poured coffee. Megan wrapped her hands around the cup and leaned in. Listen, she said, low and gentle. I found a place with a garden. Activities. People your age. They handle everything. You could bring your recipe cards. We can sell this house while the market is high and set you up. You will thank me. I heard you at the airport, I said. She blinked. What? Yesterday. You thought you hung up. I heard the plan. Her face froze, then reset. Dad, that was out of context. We are just looking. We are talking about options. You said, put him in a nursing home and sell his house. That was not an option. That was a decision. Without me. She took a long breath. You cannot say no to help, she said, voice calm but hard. I can say no to control, I said. She tapped the table with one nail. You are being stubborn. Tyler and I have a lot going on. The kids, work. We cannot be worried all the time. You could fall. You could leave the stove on. Then what? You want to burn the place down to prove a point? I want you to hear me, I said. I am not your project. I am your father. I have a voice. She shook her head a little, a small annoyed laugh. We will talk after my trip, she said. You will see. I will handle it. I looked at her. I saw the girl I had taught to ride a bike. I saw the woman who loved to rush. I saw the impatience, the envy, the greed she tried to dress as care. I set my coffee cup down so softly it did not make a sound. The smile she wore did not reach her eyes. The first crack had opened, and I knew this would not stay between us. It was about to pull in the whole family. I walked home from the diner and let myself in through the back door. The house was quiet. My coffee cup sat where I left it. I took the index card from under the salt shaker and read the 3 words I had written. I decide. I opened the drawer and touched the folded note from Dr. Perez. It said what I already knew. I was steady. I was fine. Megan had smiled and called it help. She had called my life a risk and my home a problem. She had counted my rooms like money and my years like a deadline. That was not love. That was control dressed up for company. I looked at Ellen's quilt on the chair. I thought of Sam and Lily. I wanted them to see a man who stood up straight, not a man pushed into a corner and thanked for it. I locked the back door and put the house key in my pocket. I would move with purpose. Simple steps. No speeches. No more permission asked. She had a plan for me. I would not be sold. Her family is going to get everything they deserve for it. But before we continue, please subscribe to the channel and write in the comments what time it is where you are now. I waited until the house felt steady. Then I took the brass key from my drawer and opened the hall closet. The fireproof box was right where I had left it, behind the spare blankets. I set it on the kitchen table, the same spot where Ellen used to shell peas, and turned the key. Paper has a calm to it when you know what it means. I laid things out in a careful row, the deed, the paid-off letter, our will with Ellen's name steady and proud, a few letters with my full name and this address. I needed the truth under my hands. Not a story, not a plan whispered in an airport. The truth. I touched the old medical forms too, and felt that winter again. I heard myself telling Ellen I would choose my own road. I was not going to break that promise, because my daughter had a schedule and a sales pitch. At the bottom of the box I found the extra debit card with Megan's name. I had given it to her when my knee was bad. For emergencies. The word felt foolish now. I had made it easy for her to treat me like a project. That was on me. I took a photo of each document. I slid copies into 2 plain envelopes and hid them where I could reach them without thinking. Pantry behind the flour, glove box in the Buick. I needed simple and close. Then I looked at the card, so light, so dangerous. I cut it clean in two and pushed it down into the coffee grounds. It felt like cutting a cord that had been around my throat. My phone buzzed. Tyler. We'll swing by Saturday. Need the checkbook. We'll talk money. I did not answer. I wiped the scissors, closed the box, and slipped the brass key back in its place. I met a man who worked in a simple office near the post office. No glass walls, a bell on the door. He did not sell me anything. He listened. I told him what I'd heard. I told him what I wanted. My voice on the record, no one else speaking for me. He handed me 2 plain pages. This is you choosing, he said. This is you saying no one moves you without your say. I read every line. The words were clean. I signed and watched the ink dry. He made me a folder, nothing fancy, and told me to keep it within reach. On my way out, he said, expect pushback. That already started, I said. Outside, I stood beside my car and let the wind touch my face. I thought of Megan at 8, drawing our house in blue crayon, big window and a sun. Somewhere along the way, that picture turned into a spreadsheet in her head. Maybe I taught her to love order and forgot to teach her the point of it. My phone chimed, a photo from Megan. A fake hotel smile on a building with a banner. Welcome home. The message, touring next week. So lovely. She wanted me to see a door closing on my life. I put the phone face down on the seat and started the engine. I drove past that building without looking. I drove straight to the bank. The bank was cold and quiet. The man in the gray tie had the steady way I used to like in apprentices. No chatter, just attention. I told him I wanted clean lines. No shared access. No surprises. He asked what I needed gone. I told him. He did it. We canceled the old access. He slid new cards across the desk in a small paper sleeve. He set alerts so I would know if anyone tried to use what no longer existed. There was no ceremony. I did not want ceremony. I wanted the click of a door that would not open for the wrong hands. He said, "It may get noisy." I can handle noise, I said. What I will not handle is lies. Back in the car, Tyler texted again. Leave the checkbook out. Family needs one person to manage this stuff. It's easier. He liked to be that one person. He liked the keys that belonged to other people. Holidays had taught me that. I typed one word. No. He tried again. I let the dots blink and fade. At home, I slid the new cards into the drawer beside the index card that said, I decide. I tied the kitchen trash and carried it out. The cut card was buried, but I could still feel the shape of the mistake I had ended. As I set the lid back on the bin, a white SUV slowed at my curb. Tyler. He idled long enough to look at the house like a man appraising a display. He did not see me in the side yard. He drove on. I locked the door and stood in the hallway until my pulse settled. Saturday was on a countdown. I called the small agent who had sold my neighbor's house. She came to my porch in a navy jacket and shoes made for work. We walked through rooms that still knew our names. I told her what I wanted. A clean sale, quick, quiet, to someone who planned to live here, no circus. I packed Ellen's quilts and the recipe tin first. My red toolbox went to the trunk. We did not stage the house. We did not spray it with anything. I wanted honest light and empty halls. 2 families came by that day. I sat on the back steps while voices moved through the rooms, careful and hopeful. The second couple looked at the bay window like it was a promise, not a price. Then a white SUV rolled up short. Stacy, Megan's friend from work, clipboard in hand, smile like a brochure. Quick measurements, she said. We'll get this place top dollar. No, I said. No measurements, no staging, no you. Megan said, she does not speak for me. I kept my voice even. You are on my lawn without an invitation. Leave. She did, but she looked back with a message I knew by heart. He is not cooperating. We will fix that. Inside, the agent laid 2 offers on the table. Both good, she said. One is clean and fast. I touched the fast one. This, I said. She nodded. I will do the rest. My phone started ringing. Megan. Then that cheerful number from the building with the banner. I watched the screen light and go dark. The clock had started, and Stacy would report back. I braced for impact. She called from the lounge. I could hear the soft clatter of ice and a woman laughing close to the phone. I stood by my kitchen window and looked at the tomato cages. Do not do anything rash, Megan said. Wait for me. I have a meeting with the director. I am helping you. You are helping yourself, I said. Her voice shifted into the tone she used on teachers as a teenager. Sweet, then sharp. This is not just about you. We cannot keep worrying. You could fall. You could forget the stove. The neighbors call me. It is too much. I turned on the porch light to fix the latch, I said. I turned it off when I was done. Do not take other people's anxieties and call them mine. You are unbelievable, she said. Tyler and I do everything. You left me no choice. You had a choice, I said. You chose speed. You chose money. That is unfair, she snapped. I am in charge now. No, I said. You are my daughter. That is all I heard her breathe in like she was swallowing heat. Somewhere a boarding call sounded. She covered the phone, then came back with her public voice. We will discuss this when I return. Do not sign anything. Leave the checkbook out. No, I said again, simple as a hammer. I set the phone down and felt the old training settle in. Slow, steady, exact. I took the red pen from the fridge and circled a day. 6 days. I thought of Sam's laugh. I thought of Lily's small hand in mine. I thought of the man I wanted them to see. The plan she made for me had a countdown. But she didn't know that now mine did too. I spent the morning making the house honest for goodbye. I pulled the nails from the hallway wall where Ellen used to tape Christmas cards. I wiped the smudges from the light switches. I labeled 2 boxes in my block print and stacked them by the back door. The rooms looked clean and bare. I felt both proud and punched through. A car door slammed out front, then another. I did not need the window to know. I walked to the foyer and opened the inner door, leaving the storm door locked. Tyler stood on the steps with a soft smile he saved for people he planned to overrun. Stacy was beside him with that clipboard like a badge. Morning, Walter, Tyler said, warm as a brochure. We'll grab the checkbook and a few files. Quick and easy. No, I said. He put his hand on the storm door handle. This is family, he said, like the word was a key. That is not a key, I said. Stacy tilted her head. Megan asked us to handle things while she's away, she said. We'll get this place in shape. We have a stager lined up. You'll get top dollar and an easy transition. You do not speak for me, I said. Neither of you. Tyler's smile tightened. Let's not be difficult. We're trying to prevent mistakes. The mistake would be letting you in, I said. He leaned closer, voice low. You don't want this to get messy. It is already messy, I said. You helped. For a moment he showed me his real face, impatient, small, hungry. Then the smooth cover slid back on. We'll be back with Megan, he said. She'll make this simple. You've made nothing simple, I said. You've made it ugly. Stacy glanced past me like she could see the rooms and price them in her head. Time is money, she murmured, too low for me to answer without raising my voice. I did not raise it. Leave my steps, I said. Tyler held my stare, then turned. This is sad, he said over his shoulder. You're not thinking clearly. I am, I said. That is the problem for you. They walked to the curb. Stacy typed hard into her phone. Tyler laughed at something that was not funny. They drove off like they had just performed a service. The quiet they left behind felt clean. I stood in the foyer and let my heartbeat settle. This was who they were. Tyler loved the shape of power more than the duty of it. Stacy loved the shine. Megan loved the feeling of being in charge and called it care. I had helped teach her structure and forgot to teach her where it stops. That failure stung, but it did not change what I had to do. I picked up the phone and called the number the title clerk had given me. A calm voice confirmed the time. 2 days. Morning. I said thank you and hung up. I walked to the kitchen, looked at the index card under the salt shaker, and read the 3 words I had written on the first day of this fight. I decide. Let them come home to a fact, not a discussion. The closing took place in a quiet room with a long table and a humming printer. The agent sat on my left. The young couple sat across from me, hands close together, hopeful and scared in a way that felt honest. A man in a white shirt slid papers across the table and showed me where to sign. He said my name, then the address, like a steady drum. I showed my ID. I signed where he pointed. The printer clicked and warmed and fed out a narrow strip with numbers and a single word at the end. Confirmed. No speeches, just work. The agent squeezed my elbow under the table, quick and respectful. I asked for a moment alone. They all stepped out and left me in the quiet. I looked at the keys in my palm. I thought of Ellen dropping hers in the bowl by the door the last good day she had. I thought of the winter when I sanded the banister and made it smooth for her hand. Then I did the part I had planned and told no one. I opened the small folder in my coat. Inside were simple instructions I had already set up with the bank. The money would go 2 places: a direct fund for Sam and Lily that their parents could not touch, and a gift to the housing charity that kept old men warm in January. That was my strike. Not to hurt, but to make right. Not to gloat, but to choose. The printer hummed again and fed out a second strip. 2 lines, 2 sums, 2 destinations. I tucked both confirmations in the folder and stood. The young couple came back in, cheeks pink. The woman rested a hand on her stomach. The man said, "We'll take care of it." "I know," I said. I placed the house keys in his open hand. On my way out, the man in the white shirt said, "Congratulations." I smiled once. Outside, the sky was flat and bright. I opened my Buick, set the folder on the passenger seat beside Ellen's scarf, and sat for a long time with my hands on the wheel. It was done. I left the note on the kitchen counter for the new owners. It was short in my block print. The name of the paint for touch-ups. The plumber I trusted. The trick to the back door latch. I set the spare keys beside it and took one last look at the bay window Ellen loved. It caught the light and threw it back in a soft way. The house did not belong to me anymore. That was not a loss. That was a decision. I picked up my suitcase, the recipe tin, and the small folder. My red toolbox was already in the Buick. I closed the door gently behind me, then turned and looked at the porch where Sam had once lined up sticks like soldiers. A breeze moved the wind chime. It sounded like a clear bell, not a song. I locked the knob and put the house key in my pocket for the last time. The apartment was 3 streets over, above a bakery that opened early. 2 rooms, a clean sink, and a window that faced a park. I set Ellen's scarf over the back of a wooden chair. I put the recipe tin on the counter. I slid the index card into the top drawer under the forks. I made coffee on the small stove and drank it standing at the window. My hands trembled once, then settled. I felt the answer to a question I had asked myself all week. Who decides my life? I did. Not a committee. Not a daughter who liked the feeling of control. Me. A knock sounded at the door. Not polite. Hard. Then again, I did not need to look through the peephole to know who it was. I could hear the impatience in the rhythm. I could hear the years of pushing in that knock. I set down my cup. I placed the small folder on the table. Then I turned the handle. Megan came in like a storm front. Tyler was a half step behind her, smile set, eyes sharp. Megan's mouth was already open. "You sold my house," she said. No hello, no question. A verdict she thought she could deliver. "It was never yours," I said. She looked around my small place with a flick of contempt she did not bother to hide. "You think this is better?" "This is sad, Dad. You need me." Tyler spoke in his smooth office voice. "Let's all take a breath," he said. "We can unwind any hasty decisions. You know how these things work. There are cooling-off periods. We will handle it." I slid the folder across the table and kept my hand on it. "No, you will not." Megan snapped. "What did you do?" I opened the folder and laid out 3 simple pages. No tricks, no jargon. A sale confirmation with today's date. A letter to the housing charity with a stamped receipt. A short note that showed Sam and Lily's new accounts with their names at the top. "For tuition," I said. "For braces. For life. Direct. Not through you." Her face changed in stages. Shock. Anger. Then a quick scramble back to control. "You cannot do that," she said. "You cannot bypass me." "I just did," I said. Tyler leaned in, voice low like a warning. "This is reckless. You are being manipulated by my own mind," I said. "By my own hand?" I tapped the page with the date. This is me speaking. This is me choosing. I looked at Megan. "You tried to put me away and sell the years your mother and I built. You tried to treat me like a task with a payout. That is not love. That is greed with good shoes." "Do not talk to me like that," she said. Her eyes were bright with angry tears. "I have done everything for you." "You have done everything for you," I said, "and you have taught my grandchildren the wrong lesson about help." She reached for the papers. I put my hand over them. "Do not touch what is not yours," I said. She pulled her hand back. Tyler straightened his tie and tried one more angle. "You are putting money at risk in places you do not understand. It is irresponsible. It is mine," I said, "and it is already where it belongs." Megan's voice dropped to a hiss. "You will regret this." "Maybe," I said, "but I will not regret saying no to you." She stared at me, breathing fast. The room was small, and her anger made it feel smaller. Tyler touched her elbow. "We should go," he murmured. He did not look at me. He looked at the folder like a man who lost a bet. Megan pointed at the door. "This is not over," she said. "It is," I said. She paused. She saw I meant it. That was the first time she really saw me in years. She walked out. They were waiting by the curb when I arrived with the agent to pass the keys to the young couple. Megan had on her sunglasses. Tyler had his hands in his pockets like he owned the block. I could feel their impatience reach for the front steps. The couple pulled up behind us in a small sedan. The woman eased out with a careful hand on her stomach. The man moved around to open her door. Their joy was not loud. It was steady, the way hope is when it knows what it wants. Megan took a step toward the porch. "We are going inside," she said. "No," I said. "We are not." She tried the old keys. They did not turn. She rattled the knob like that would change the facts. Tyler gave me a tight smile. "This is a mistake," he said through his teeth. "You are humiliating your own family." "I am saving it," I said. "From you." The agent stood between us without a word. She handed the keys to the new owners. The man took them with both hands. The woman whispered, "Thank you." She looked at the porch like it was a promise, not a prize. Megan's voice pitched up. "You cannot do this to me." "I did not do it to you," I said. I did it for me. And for them, I nodded toward the couple. And for Sam and Lily. She laughed once, high and sharp. We will undo it. You cannot, I said. It is done. For a second, no one moved. A bird called from the maple. The street held still. Tyler's mouth worked like he was searching for a word strong enough to keep his old hold. He did not find one. I turned to the couple. It is a good house, I said. It knows how to hold a family. They smiled. They walked up the steps and went inside. The door closed with a soft click that sounded like a final line. Megan watched me. I saw the truth of her. She loved control. She loved being seen. She did not love the work of care when it did not come with applause. Tyler loved the shape of power more than the duty of it. He loved the show. I put my hands in my pockets and felt the old house key. It had no job now. The life continued. Justice won that day. A week had passed. It was time to deliver my boundaries. We met in a quiet room at the community center. Folding chairs, a plastic plant in the corner. A woman from the church sat with a notebook and a calm face. She was there to keep the air level. I had asked for that. I wanted no shouting, no tricks, no gotchas, just sentences that held. Megan walked in first. No scarf this time. Bare face. Tired. Tyler followed a step behind, phone in his hand like a badge. I stood and did not offer hugs. I pulled out a chair for Megan and sat across from her. The woman nodded for me to begin. I asked you both here for one reason, I said, to make the lines clear. Megan looked at the floor, then at me. Her eyes were red but dry. I just wanted to help, she said. It sounded small. You wanted control, I said. You called it help so you could hear yourself as the hero. Tyler leaned forward. We can still fix this if... This is between me and my daughter, I said. My voice did not rise. You may listen. You do not speak for me. His mouth closed. That, finally, was a start. I set a single sheet of paper on the table. No stamps, no seals. My handwriting. Here is how we go forward, I said. You do not touch my money. You do not handle my bills. You do not enter my home without an invitation. I paused. I will see Sam and Lily every Saturday morning, 10 to noon. I will pay for what they need, school things, shoes, lessons, directly. No middle hands. Megan's face pulled tight. So I get nothing, she said. There it was, the true question at last. You get a father who is still here, I said, if you can stand that. She stared at the paper. The woman from the church waited, pen still. Tyler shifted in his chair like it was too small for him. You cannot punish me like this, Megan said. You chose strangers over your own family. I chose the part of family that stands when the costumes fall, I said. I chose the children. I chose myself. And I chose to stop training you to mistake my silence for approval. She flinched, like the words hit a bruise that had been waiting for a name. What if I say no? She asked. Then you say no, I said. And we stop. No visits, no calls, nothing, not forever. Just until you can sit across from me without reaching for my life. Tyler let out a small, breathy laugh. You'll cave, he said. You always do. I looked at Megan. You will show up on time. Alone. You will speak with respect, or you will not come. The woman from the church raised her eyes to Megan. Can you agree to these rules? She asked. The room went very quiet. I heard a delivery truck outside, brakes hissing, then the engine idle. Megan's jaw worked. She kept looking at the single sheet, like it might change if she stared hard enough. This is not what I wanted, she said. No, I said. But it is what it is. She nodded once, a short, hard movement. Fine, she said. Saturdays. I picked up the paper and slid it back into my folder. I stood. Good, I said. Then we begin there. I opened the door and let the afternoon in. You wanted a plan, I said. Now you have one. The first Saturday, Sam and Lily came up the stairs with the light that kids bring in from outside. They kicked off their shoes and ran to the window to look at the park. I set mixing bowls on the counter. We made pancakes from Ellen's card. Lily cracked eggs with her small, careful hands. Sam read the steps out loud. I watched them eat at the little table, maple syrup on their chins, and felt a knot in my chest loosen in a way that hurt and healed at the same time. Megan texted twice that week. Short. Saturday still on? And do they need anything? No hearts, no speeches. Her voice was different when she arrived alone. She stood in the doorway of my small place and looked at the neat bed, the tidy sink, the quilt over the chair. She swallowed a remark that used to come easy to her. You look good, she said instead. It was not an apology. It was a start. At night I sat at the table with the recipe tin open and Ellen's handwriting leaning forward on the cards like she was about to say one more thing. I did not feel brave. I felt plain. I felt like a man who finally said no and meant it. Family changed shape. The old picture, smiles at holidays, quick digs under the table, control dressed in love, cracked down the middle. Maybe it had been a stage set for years. Maybe I had stood on it and called it home because I built it myself. Now the set was gone. What was left was smaller and real. On the third Saturday, Megan knocked and waited. She came in, hugged the kids without looking at me, then turned and met my eyes. Thank you for pancakes, she said. The words were simple. They sounded like a person trying. I poured coffee. We sat. We spoke about school and shoes and a piano recital. When she started to reach for, we need to talk about your place, she stopped herself. She liked control. She loved being seen. She was learning the line where both end. When they left, the apartment felt quiet in the good way. I washed the dishes and set Ellen's card to dry on a towel. I looked out at the park and watched the last light slide along the swings. I had not been put away. I had put away what needed to go. The family that stayed was the part that could bear the truth. The rest had been a costume. What I kept was mine again. And that was everything I wished for. Do you think that my approach was the best for my goals? Do you think I should have done something differently? Please share your opinions in the comments below.
My grandpa's words really happened. I believe him. If you want more true tales stories like this, hit subscribe.